I spent the past year off the grid. I deleted all of my social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Here's my full story. So the 4 parts of this story that I want to talk about are: 1, my experience with social media from start to finish. The second is how I got motivated to quit social media. The third is about my process for actually quitting and how quitting went for me. And the 4th part is just my reflections about this whole experience and if it was worth it. So let's talk about the start of my social media experience. And it takes place around 6th grade, where I initially downloaded Instagram. I was super young and so was social media, so I don't think people really understood the negative effects just yet, or at least I didn't. I was in 6th grade. I remember posting a bunch of innocent little pictures, Plants vs. Zombies screenshots. I remember making follower milestones out of random markers that I had lying around my house. And I thought it was interesting seeing my friends' lives through their Instagram posts, and it was a bit exciting posting my own pictures and seeing the likes that it got. I remember in the early days of Instagram, it showed everyone's names who liked your post until there were 11 likes, and seeing the names turn into numbers on my posts made me really excited when it happened. So that was my first stint with social media. As the years went on, I created a Facebook just to occasionally share statuses and change my profile pictures like once every 4 years. I created a Snapchat where I eventually racked up almost 1 million Snap score, and I did this by keeping up dozens of streaks. There were often days where I'd spend hours sending selfies back and forth between like 10 or 12 people, and during this time I'd often rack up thousands of points a day. I used to take pride in the amount of streaks that I had, as if it said something about how many friends that I had or the depth of my social network. And eventually, in my freshman year of college, I downloaded TikTok. So I want to take a step back and talk about social media in general. I think everyone, for their first experience with social media, downloads it for innocent reasons. When I first heard about social media, I wanted to see what my friends were talking about, what they were spending hours on, and because I'm human, I didn't want to miss out, so I naturally downloaded it as well. And I think that's perfectly fine, but I think the reason why people stay on social media is far more disappointing. And I think it's because of social validation. I remember when I discovered spamming hashtags and I posted a couple photos that brought my likes from barely in the teens to over 40, I got really excited. I didn't even post anything about my life when I was spamming hashtags. I literally Google searched stock images. I think I posted a couple pictures about subways and ice cream, spammed them with hashtags, and got around 40 likes. And that sounds so stupid, but that actually made me pretty happy in the moment. I thought that getting those likes made me more valuable as a person. Anyways, back to the story. After I downloaded TikTok, I was consumed. I could spend hours on the app and it barely felt like minutes had gone by. Its algorithm is seriously incredible at capturing the attention of its users, and I definitely fell victim to that. So the second part of this video is how I got the motivation to quit social media. It was around my sophomore year of college where I kind of started to understand a little better why people use social media, and I narrowed it down to 2 things: production and consumption. In other words, for posting or for viewing. First, let's talk about posting. Sure, there are things that people post on Instagram because they want to share their moments with the people close to them, and I'm all for that, but I think the vast majority of people post on Instagram for the social validation factor. I remember back when I posted on Instagram, after I posted, for the next few hours, I'd just be glued to my app, refreshing every few minutes to see how many more likes I'd gotten. It got me thinking about the question of, would people really be posting so much on Instagram if the like button wasn't a thing? The other side of social media is the entertainment factor, or the viewing factor. There was one video that I watched that described the negative effects of TikTok and Instagram really well, and it was that in the span of just an hour, you can go through thousands and thousands of different context switches, scrolling past dozens or even hundreds of posts that you don't like until you find the right one that satisfies your viewing pleasure. But before social media, that type of thing didn't exist. You more or less just lived life as it was dealt to you. You couldn't swipe up, left, or right, or go next. You simply had to proceed to the next task at hand, regardless of if it was interesting or boring. There were often times where, after using TikTok or Instagram for a few hours, I had no motivation to do anything else. I didn't even want to hang out with my friends, and I certainly wasn't doing mundane tasks like doing laundry, just because in comparison to using TikTok, it was so boring. So let's talk about my process quitting social media. Eventually, after a few weeks or months, I deleted TikTok, I deactivated my Instagram account, I deleted Snapchat, I stopped using Facebook, and to my surprise, my world didn't blow up. It changed a lot, but in my opinion, for the better. First off, I thought that I would miss social media, and I was right. I did miss it. It's hard not to miss having your mind so beautifully distracted and filled with excitement after it's suddenly taken away from you. But instead of chasing after social media more, I filled up the time that I usually spent on social media with other more fulfilling tasks, like calling my friends or spending time learning how to meditate. There was really no part of my life that was missing after I quit. Another part of my mind that changed for me was my jealousy. Oftentimes when I used social media and I scrolled through the lives of the people I knew, I got jealous. I think it's human nature to compare yourself with the people around you. And on social media, I feel like people try and just share the best parts of their life. And naturally, when you compare your life to the best parts of someone else's, you're probably gonna be pretty disappointed. And I haven't fixed that part of me. I still get jealous of people, but I feel like using social media gives a spotlight to other people's lives that really just disappears when you stop using it. So as a result, I feel jealous and compare myself with people a lot less than before. I also had more time for hobbies. I started doing things that maybe were a little less fulfilling dopamine-wise, but gave a little more meaning to my life. So I started playing guitar, I started playing basketball, tennis, piano. I also read books, and I started working out again consistently for the first time in my life. So before I quit, I'd been spending hours on social media, on TikTok and Instagram every day. After I quit, I had the time and the motivation to do the things that I actually wanted to do. The enjoyment that comes with using social media kind of chained me down and didn't allow me to do these things. But since I broke those chains after deactivating my accounts, I was free to do whatever I wanted. So now for the final part, my reflections on this whole experience. If you couldn't already tell, I have zero regrets about quitting social media. I feel like this has been one of the rare decisions in my life where there's been literally no downside. I don't think I've missed out on anything, and I can enjoy daily life a little bit more just because I'm not being constantly bombarded by all of the different context switches that I mentioned before. At this point, not using social media is more of a routine for me. It's kind of just a part of who I am now. And I think that's the case because I've re-downloaded Instagram and TikTok. When I open these apps, there are brief 1 to 2 minute moments where I'm sucked into the content hole, but it's nothing like before. I don't use these apps for hours anymore, and I don't want to post for external validation. I want to post to build an audience. I can truly say that my life has been better now that social media has taken a smaller role in it. In my opinion, there's no missing out without having social media. In fact, I'd say it allows you to be more involved in your own life rather than viewing other people's lives through Instagram posts.